Good evening and welcome to For Further Review. Today I have very special people with me. In fact, I have the chairman of the Murfreesboro City School Board, Ms. Mary Wade, with me, and I have the vice chair, Mr. Butch Campbell. And this is our celebration week for the school board and our deep appreciation to you. So if you look, you'll notice that there's probably a sign down there someplace on your television screen that is in celebration of our school board week. So welcome and thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could you tell me, Ms. Wade, how long have you been a school board member and why did you decide to be a school board member?
I was elected to the Murfreesboro City School Board in 1998. That's been a long time. And at the time, I had been involved with volunteer work with...
Oh, when I was only stuttering 4 times.
That's right.
School Board Appreciation Week. Okay. What do you mean you're moving the sign? I just talked about the sign. Hey, Michael.
I wept.
Yeah. Well, that's probably what happened. You screwed up the camera somehow with all your water. Yeah.
Yeah, because he was back there going, sign, what sign? I'm not queued up for a sign.
That's a mighty nice sign. Am I supposed to get that sign?
Well, I'm looking up there on the monitor and seeing the sign. I can't.
I didn't see one.
You're the only one seeing that sign.
There we go.
There we go.
Are we going to see the sign or not see the sign?
See the sign right there.
Oh.
But right,
So should I refer to the sign this time, which I'll probably forget to do?
it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Oh, good. Oh, it's right there in front of them. Okay.
We didn't see. Like this. I saw it on the desk. I thought the sign. It's over there. That's the one I was looking at.
Are we supposed to look at you when we talk, or are we supposed to look?
Look at her, because it's a conversation.
Okay,
Oh.
okay. Well, good. I
And I
put my
can
feet
stick-
up on the...
Yeah, but he can't stick his tongue out.
You can rear back.
Can we get you a big old cigar?
Oh,
No.
gee.
We'll take food.
Yeah, really.
About a piece of celery.
They've got some snack back there on the table.
Here we go with the music. I am. Mary and I are dancing. Oh, he does? Hey, John? Linda says you have 2012. You never had this much trouble. It's just because.
Mike should have been here at 3:30 instead of
No later.
5 o'clock.
So, we're going to have to say cut.
No, we're not.
That's
doing
what they
this
do when
this
they
year.
do TV interviews.
Yes.
They talk to you for 30 minutes and you get 20 seconds.
That's right.
So, we'll be all right.
It is 2012.
Does okay, does it matter that it says 2012?
Hang on.
I'm telling you, all last week was like this. Today was relatively quiet.
Go back.
Shoot, Friday was
Probably got the wrong answers up
Here we
here.
go.
Stand by.
Hello and welcome to For Further Review. Today I have 2 very special guests with me. This is School Board Appreciation Week, and you may notice that there are some signs around the area because we are celebrating our school board and what they do for us. So I have with me Chairman of the School Board, Ms. Mary Wade, and also our Vice Chair, Mr. Butch Campbell.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Ms. Wade, could you please tell us how many years you have served on the board and why you decided to run for school board?
I was elected in 1998. I had been doing volunteer work with Classroom on Wheels, and it was very interesting. Plus, I had two of my children involved. I met Mr. John Pittard, and at the time, board members were being appointed. And they invited us into council chambers one night. They were going to make an appointment, and there were a few of us there that night. And he put me on the spot because they made an appointment, but then he said, after this, you'll have to run for this office. And from his seat, he leaned back and said, Ms. Wade, you're willing to run, aren't you? And I thought, oh, yes. And I spoke right up, and I thought, what did I say? Why did I do that? I didn't mean that. And we couldn't go back and erase it because publicly I had said it. But that was my first encounter with why I wanted to be on the school board. I wanted to make a difference.
Mr. Campbell, how many years and why?
I was elected to the school board in 2008, in April of that year, and I have many years, 40-some-odd years in public education, and at the time I felt like that there was a need on our board to have somebody who had been there and done that and had a little bit of an insight on what was going on, and also I knew that too very long I was going to retire from my position, and I wanted to keep involved in education and with young people.
Could you talk a little bit about your responsibilities? What do school board members do?
We don't argue, do we?
No, we don't argue.
No.
Basically, our responsibility is to develop policies and criteria for things that are to be done. It's not our job to go out and to evaluate personnel or to anything along that line. It's basically for policy and to try to help make changes if changes need to be in policies, but at the same time be willing to do what is best for the students of Murfreesboro City Schools as well as all of the employees.
We also are an informed board. There are classes that are offered for us at the Tennessee School Board Association in different areas to keep us abreast of everything that's going on. And very few folks are aware that the board only has one employee, and that is our director. And we get with our director, we go over different policies, she has a directive, and we are to support that director and do our jobs as setting that policy so her directive will match that.
Thank you, and I do have to say that I very much appreciate what you do for the school system and the support that you give me and what we're trying to do in the schools. Speaking of that, Ms. Wade, could you talk a little bit about your vision for Murfreesboro City Schools? What you think we can become? If you said, here's what I hope we are, what would that be?
Let's see I'm going to say this. I was at a meeting recently, and you were the spokesman. You did an excellent job in the pyramid. I had a little familiarity with the pyramid because my sorority symbol is a pyramid at times. And you let us know how everything focused at the top, and the main focus was the children. Behind that was the teachers, the administrators. And it came all the way down to the bottom where you saw yourself. Now, a servant sees themselves in a serving position. And I was glad to see the school board and the director at the bottom, willing to serve all that were above us, making sure that what they needed was available. And in order to do that, you must be a servant. So you proved that, and one of the visions in that was making sure that our children and our administrators, no matter what their position, all the way from the principal's office to the custodial staff, have what they need to make our children be successful. That is our vision. But not only that, we see our vision in our curriculum. We've changed a lot of things. We've had to make some drastic changes. But if you look back at the awards that we've received and our schools that were honored, Bradley and Discovery, we have made some strides. Our vision on the focus of the whole child, we're beginning to reap some of the benefits of that.
Mr. Campbell, you mentioned that you had been an educator for over 41 years. Could you talk a little bit about the differences in being a principal and being a school board member? And what kind of talents, the involvement, how you look at schools, does it change the way that you look at schools from this position?
I think to be an effective school board member, you've got to know something about the schools. And I don't mean just know that your child attended the school. You've got to know a lot about the inner workings and how things are done. As Ms. Wade mentioned with the Tennessee School Board Association and the sessions that they have and those that we are required to go to gain a better knowledge of what the school board does. I had a pretty good knowledge of what the school board was supposed to do because of my background. I used to attend all of the county school board meetings every time they met and learned a lot from there. And then at the same time through studies in the university with my degrees there, I also learned about school boards and what they were supposed to do, and also what they were not supposed to do. As a principal, I always welcomed the school board member. I was tickled when they knocked on the door, whether they called and said they were coming or not, because as a principal, I wanted that board member in our building so that I could show them what we were doing and show that I could brag on our teachers and our students and let the school board know exactly what was going on, because a lot of times school board members don't know unless they become involved and they have some type of communication with those people that are within the school. As a principal, I looked at the board as that group of people who made the policies and the decisions, and they used to make a lot more decisions than what we make today, simply because they were, I guess, able to and did. But it's two different ways of looking at the board, but at the same time, both ways are very, very similar.
Okay. All right, thank you. Let's talk about some of the strengths of the school district, because we like to talk about our strengths, and I think certainly we have strengths. So from your perspective, what do you two see as the strengths of Murfreesboro City Schools?
One thing I've seen where in our hiring practices, we've only gone after the best and the brightest. And in order for children to excel, you're going to have to go after the best and the brightest of our educators that are out there. Not saying that they're not all in that category either. And I'm very thankful that it's not my job to have to go out and search them out. Mr. Campbell has had that privilege in his tenure as a principal. But when you're looking for good personnel, you want to make sure that they're a good fit at where we need them. And that's one thing that I have seen when we brag about it. And everybody now wants to come to the city. And that's a good thing. We're glad for them to want to come to Murfreesboro City Schools and be an educator.
I think another strength that we have today that we did not have when I first came on this board was the camaraderie and the communication, perhaps between central office personnel and those teachers or administrators or cafeteria workers or custodians, educational assistants. It didn't make any difference. Back when I came on the board, I don't think that communication was there. And I think that has improved a lot, because I think of the way that the board's made up, but more importantly, the way the central office is made up and their involvement within the schools. And I like that. I like to see those people out in the schools. And they're not there to look to find things wrong. They're there to look to find things that are going on that are good and what the students are doing. And the students are doing well because the teachers are doing well. The teachers are doing well because they have encouragement from the building level administration.
Okay. What do you see as some of the challenges? I know we're going into a legislative session, for example. Are there any challenges that you see there? Or certainly we've had a lot of growth in our city, a lot of changes as far as demographics, a lot of changes as far as what our community and just the breadth of our community. What are the challenges that you see coming in the next year or in the next 5 years even?
growth, building schools to keep up with that growth for Murfreesboro City. That would be a 5-year plan for us. We're getting ready to build another school, but in 2 years that school will be up. When that school gets up, if you look at the building growth on another end of town, we're going to have to be looking at land to get ready to build again. And growth is good. That means the economy is getting so much better, but it's hard for the system to keep up at that pace because it still takes a lot of money for us to do a lot of building. But I wanted to commend you and your staff on the area of keeping our older schools presentable. That means a lot to a student and parents. Although every child can't go to a brand new building every year, we couldn't afford it. But our schools are kept so clean and so neat. And when you see fit that we need to do something at some of the older schools for growth, you step right in with the agreement and working with this board, and we've gotten it done. And that really makes me proud when I go into an older school such as Hopgood. When you walk in the door, there's a brand new paint job, the bathrooms, the lighting. That means a lot to a child when they're getting new things for their school. We have 2 building projects going on at the same time over there. That's progress. That keeps people wanting to come to Murfreesboro City Schools.
Mr. Campbell, challenges.
I can name 3 just right off the top of my head. Certainly with the situation in Connecticut 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think the safety of not only our students but also our employees is also a challenge. And I know that you have worked on that quite diligently since the situation in Connecticut. And that is something that is on everybody's mind, and it's something that we need to look at. 2 other things that I think we're going to be faced with this legislative session is, 1, the voucher system, and 2 is going to be the charter schools. And I think that we, in the public school sector, need to make sure that we keep ourselves aware and abreast of things and thoughts and philosophies coming from those people who make some of those decisions, how they feel about vouchers in charter schools. And when we have an opportunity to talk to those people, our legislators, and give them our opinion and I guess persuade them to kind of go the way that we're looking at, I think that's an important factor that we're going to see. I see where the governor has already made it public that he's going to bring something to the table on school vouchers. And I think we need to be well aware of that and what's going to happen and what the possibilities of those things could be. Because it's going to affect our funding.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely. Ms. Wade, if you had one thing that you want the parents who might be listening to know about Murfreesboro City Schools, what would that one thing be?
We care about your child. We care about their learning. We want to make sure that when they leave home, they feel like they're going to another home environment, that we're there for them. We've done so many things to make that transition from home to school a comfortable one, and one of them has been feeding breakfast every morning. I know that a lot of times children cannot, and sometimes they'll get up and just run out to catch the bus and not think about it. But the school system has the love in their heart, and we have funding to make sure that we let the parents know if they miss that, we're there for them that morning with a nice breakfast to get them ready for learning that day.
Mr. Campbell, if you were talking to a child in Murfreesboro City Schools, what's the one thing you want that child to know?
I want that child to know that everybody involved in Murfreesboro City Schools, whether we're going from whatever the top is or whatever the bottom is, I want that child to understand that everybody has a concern for him or her in their learning, not only their academic learning, but their everyday life learnings. I want the child in the resource classes. I want them to be able to carry on and provide for themselves when they get out of school. And I want that child to know that we're all working toward that goal. And even though sometimes, they're not going to like what the teacher does, I want them to understand that just like parents, we didn't always like what our parents did, but in the long run, we hoped that it was for the best. And I want that child to know that we're very much caring for them, and we're concerned about them, and we want them to have the best possible.
Well, I want to thank you, too, for your leadership, Chairman Wade and Vice Chair Campbell. We really appreciate what you're doing. I can tell you that the teachers are absolutely appreciative of you. The administrators are appreciative of you because they know that what you are doing is in the best interest of the children. So thank you so much for your support. And I hope you have a great School Board Appreciation Week.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thank you all for your support of Murfreesboro City Schools.